We're all God's children. What? I say we're all God's children. In the book of Genesis 1:26, it says, "And God said, Let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over everything that creepeth upon the earth." The word father means source. In other words, God is the source of all life. In John chapter 1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him there was nothing made that was made." In other words, that is the source that we all have come from. But in religion, it's like, no, no, we have to, there has to be a separation, and the separation is it's in Mark chapter 3. Here's the separation. They asked Jesus' mother and his brother showed up, and they said, "Your mother and brother out here." And Jesus said, who is my mother and who is my brother? It is those that do God's will. Now, Jesus was not saying that Mary wasn't his mother. I don't know, let's say it was James out there, his brother, and James is not my real brother. He was not saying that. What he was saying is, I look at people who are doing God's will just like I look at my mother and brother. Like means equal to, that they are equal to my mother and brother. But if my mother disowned me, she's still my mother. If my brother disowned me, they're still my brother. If somebody is not doing God's will, that is my brother not doing God's will. That is my sister not doing God's will. We cannot disown one another. In the book of Acts, Paul makes this great revelation for him, because a Jew raised under the Mosaic law, he believed that the children of Israel, or the children of Abraham, were different from anybody else on the planet, that God looked at them differently. And so he thought that they were God's chosen people, and everyone else was second class, that no one was equal to the children of Israel. And in the book of Acts, chapter 17, Paul goes among a bunch of Greek philosophers. He's in Athens at Mars Hill, and he's talking to them, and he gets this understanding of the relationship that he has with these Greeks. And he says this in Acts chapter 17, verse 26. He says, "And had God had of one blood made all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth." This is huge for Paul, because Paul is saying that the Jewish nation and the Greeks and the Romans, who the Jews were constantly in conflict with, that we're all made of one blood. We're all the same. Huge. But in religion, in my religion, I can speak for myself, it was all about separating yourself. They're in darkness, we're in the light. We're the good us, they're the bad them. We can't admit that we're like them and they're like us. We can't admit that we sin like them and they sin like. We have to bring this separation. Why? Because if we bring this separation, I can make myself superior to them, and I can make them inferior to me. And then I can devalue them. But the problem is, you can't love anybody that you devalue. You can't love anybody who you don't see yourself in them. God can loves us, because when he looks at all of us in the whole world, he sees himself. And so when he's loving us, he loving himself. And it's the same thing when you look at another human being. If you don't see yourself in that human being, you can't love that person, because love only loves itself. When you start categorizing this person as somehow less than you, as somehow inferior to you, you'll never love them, and you will never treat them like a brother or a sister. Even if they don't know that even if they don't believe that you are brothers and sisters, you are to treat them that way. You are to treat them that way. Why? Because, like I said at the top, we're all God's children.